What do you mean he hasn't seen his daughter in 3 years? The judge asked, leaning forward slowly. The woman didn't hesitate. I did what any mother would do. I protected my child. The father clenched his fists. Protected her by telling her I don't want her? Before we continue, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because what the judge orders in this courtroom today is something no one was prepared for. The judge paused, eyes moving from the mother to the man standing beside her. There is no restraining order here, no abuse case, no legal ban. He tapped the file once. So explain to me, who gave you the right to erase a father from his daughter's life? The courtroom went completely silent. The mother straightened her shoulders. She's my child. I decide who's good for her. The judge's voice dropped, calm but dangerous. No, the law decides. And today, the court will decide whether what you did was love or harm. The judge gestured for both sides to sit, but his eyes stayed on the file in front of him. Let's start at the beginning, he said. 3 years is not a misunderstanding. 3 years is a pattern. The father took a slow breath before speaking. His voice was steady, but there was something worn inside it. My daughter was 5 when this started, he said. She's 8 now. I didn't miss one birthday by choice. I didn't forget her. I was blocked. Everywhere. The judge looked up. Blocked how? Phone number changed. Social media blocked. My emails bounced back. When I sent letters, they were returned unopened. He swallowed. I even went to her school once. They told me her mother had instructed them not to release her or share any information with me. The courtroom murmured softly before the judge raised his hand. Quiet. He turned to the mother. Did you instruct the school to deny him access? Yes, she replied quickly, because he had no right to confuse her. The judge leaned back slightly. Confuse her how? She was adjusting to a new life, a stable one. He would come in and disrupt that. The father shook his head, unable to stop himself. I asked to attend a parent-teacher meeting. Once. I asked to take her for ice cream. Once. That's disruption? The judge raised his hand again. Sir, I will hear from you, but one at a time. He looked back at the mother. You said you were protecting the child. From what exactly? She hesitated for the first time. From disappointment. The judge narrowed his eyes. Explain. He made promises he couldn't keep, she said. He was late sometimes. He struggled financially. Children don't need inconsistency. The father let out a bitter laugh, immediately apologizing. Your Honor, I worked 2 jobs after the separation. I was late because I was working. For her. The judge scribbled a note, then looked up. Were there any court orders limiting his access? No, the mother admitted, but no, the judge repeated firmly. So, for 3 years, without legal authority, you decided to remove a parent. She crossed her arms. I'm her mother. And he is her father, the judge replied. The law recognizes both, not whichever one speaks louder. The father shifted in place. Your Honor, may I show the court something? The judge nodded. Proceed. The man pulled out a worn envelope. These are birthday cards. 3 years' worth. I wrote one every year. I mailed them all. Every single one came back. He handed them to the bailiff, who passed them forward. The judge examined the envelopes slowly, noting the unopened seals. You kept these? The judge asked. I couldn't throw them away, the father said quietly. They were meant for her. The judge looked at the mother again. Did you ever tell the child her father tried to contact her? She looked away. I didn't think it was necessary. The judge's jaw tightened. So, you didn't just block him, you erased him. That's not fair, she snapped. I raised her alone, and you made sure it stayed that way, the judge replied. The room felt heavier now. Even the lawyers sat still. Sir, the judge said to the father, why didn't you come to court sooner? The man's voice cracked for the first time. I tried, twice. I couldn't afford a lawyer. I was told to wait to document everything. By the time I saved enough, 3 years were gone. The judge closed the file slowly. 3 years, he repeated, which is nearly half of this child's life. He looked at both of them. This court is not here to punish emotions. It is here to protect children, And children do not benefit from silence, lies, or one parent deciding the other no longer exists. The mother shifted in her seat. So, what now? The judge met her gaze, unblinking. Now, he said, we talk about consequences. Not just for you, but for the damage done to a child who grew up believing her father chose to disappear. The courtroom went quiet again, and for the first time since the hearing began, the mother looked unsure. The judge adjusted his glasses and looked down at the file again, but this time he did not read from it. He already knew what he needed to know. I want to be very clear, he said slowly. This court does not measure harm only by bruises or police reports. Emotional harm counts, psychological harm counts, and parental alienation, whether intentional or not, counts. The mother's attorney finally stood. Your Honor, with respect, there is no criminal intent here. My client believed she was acting in the best interest of her child. The judge looked up sharply. Belief does not override the law. He turned his attention back to the mother. Did you ever sit your daughter down and explain why her father was no longer around? She hesitated. I told her he was busy. The father closed his eyes. Busy, the judge repeated. For 3 years. She was young, the mother said defensively. Children forget. The judge's voice hardened. No, children remember exactly who made them feel abandoned. A ripple of unease moved through the courtroom. The judge leaned forward again. Sir, he said to the father, do you have proof of attempted contact beyond these letters? Yes, Your Honor. He reached into a folder and pulled out printed screenshots, call logs, messages that were never delivered, emails. I saved everything. The bailiff carried them over. The judge reviewed them one by one, his expression growing increasingly stern. Dozens of calls, he murmured. Over 100 messages, school inquiries, medical requests. He looked up. This does not look like a man who gave up. The mother's attorney tried again. Your Honor, even if mistakes were made, removing custody or imposing punishment would traumatize the child further. The judge nodded slightly. That concern is valid, which is why this court will proceed carefully. He paused, then added, but carefully does not mean gently when harm has already occurred. The judge turned to the mother. Do you understand that by controlling access, you controlled the narrative? She frowned. I don't know what you mean. You decided what your daughter believed about her father, the judge said. You decided what questions she was allowed to ask. You decided what memories she was allowed to form. The father spoke without looking at her. I just want her to know I never left. The judge held up a hand, acknowledging him. And that, he said, is where this court begins to act. He looked to both attorneys. This is no longer a simple visitation dispute. This is a case involving sustained interference with a parent-child relationship. The mother shifted in her seat. So, you're saying I'm a criminal now? I'm saying, the judge replied evenly, that your actions had consequences far beyond inconvenience. The judge took a breath and straightened the papers in front of him. Before I issue any order, there is one more thing this court needs to hear. He turned to the bailiff. Bring in the court-appointed child psychologist's report. The E. Room stiffened. The mother's face drained of color. The bailiff handed the sealed envelope to the judge, who opened it carefully and began reading. The longer he read, the quieter the courtroom became. After a long moment, he looked up. This report states that the child believes her father did not love her enough to stay. He paused. It also states she blames herself. The father's breath caught. The judge continued, his voice low. She believes that if she had been a better daughter, her father wouldn't have disappeared. A heavy silence settled over the room. The judge closed the report and placed it gently on the bench. That belief, he said, did not come from nowhere. The mother's eyes filled with tears. I never meant for that. Intent does not erase impact, the judge replied. He leaned forward one last time. This court has a duty to repair what can still be repaired, and to ensure it never happens again. He looked directly at the mother, and that will require more than apologies. The gavel rested under his hand. And when this court reconvenes, he said, I will issue an order that will change how you understand the word custody forever. The gavel struck, court was recessed. When the court reconvened, the atmosphere had changed completely. The mother sat rigid in her chair, her attorney whispering urgently beside her. The father stood quietly, hands folded in front of him, his eyes fixed on the bench. He did not look hopeful. He looked exhausted, like a man who had learned not to expect mercy. The judge entered and took his seat without ceremony. "Be seated," he said. No one moved until he sat down himself. The judge did not open the file this time. He did not adjust his glasses. He looked directly at the mother. "For 3 years," he began, "this court was not involved. That does not mean the law was absent. It means the law was ignored." He paused. "You did not just deny visitation. You denied identity. You denied memory. You denied a child the right to know where she came from." The mother shook her head, tears forming. "I was afraid." The judge nodded once. "Fear explains behavior. It does not excuse harm." He turned to the father. "Sir, stand." The man stood immediately. "Have you ever missed child support?" "Payments ordered by the court?" the judge asked. "No, Your Honor." "Have you ever threatened, harmed, or intimidated the child or her mother?" "Never." "Have you ever been charged with abuse, neglect, or violence?" "No." The judge nodded and turned back to the mother. "And yet," he said, "you acted as if he were dangerous enough to erase." The courtroom remained silent. The judge folded his hands. "This court recognizes something that often goes unspoken. When one parent controls access, they control reality. And when that control lasts long enough, it becomes abuse, quiet, invisible, and devastating." The mother's attorney stood quickly. "Your Honor, we respectfully ask the court to consider a gradual reunification process without punitive measures." The judge raised a hand. "I am considering the child, not comfort, not pride, not winning." He leaned forward slightly. "This is not punishment," he said. "This is correction." He picked up a prepared document and began reading. "Effective immediately, the court orders the following." The room felt as though it stopped breathing. "Primary physical custody of the child will be temporarily transferred to the father for a period of 90 days. The mother gasped audibly. "This period will be supervised by a court-appointed family specialist to ensure emotional stability and safety." The father's eyes widened, but he did not speak. The judge continued. "The mother will be required to attend mandatory parental alienation counseling at her own expense twice weekly." The mother's attorney whispered urgently, but the judge did not pause. "Additionally," he said, "the mother will complete 100 hours of court-approved community service focused on family advocacy and child welfare." The judge looked up. "And this court will retain jurisdiction to review compliance monthly." The mother stood suddenly. "You're taking my child away!" The judge's voice cut through the room like steel. "No! I am returning a child to—" "The truth." He let the words settle. "This court will not allow a child to grow up believing love disappears without reason." The judge's tone softened slightly, but his authority did not waver. "You will have supervised visitation during this period. You will speak respectfully of the father in the child's presence. You will not interfere. Not once." He leaned forward one final time. "Because if you do," he said quietly, "this court will not hesitate to make this arrangement permanent." The mother collapsed back into her chair, sobbing. The father stood frozen, tears silently streaming down his. Yet the judge took a breath and looked at him. "Sir," he said, "your job now is not to reclaim lost time. It is to rebuild trust." The man nodded, unable to speak. The judge raised the gavel. "This court believes that justice is not about who wins," he said. "It is about who heals." The gavel struck. Court is adjourned. As the room slowly emptied, the father remained, standing for a moment longer, staring at the bench where justice had finally spoken. Not loudly, not cruelly, but firmly enough to change a child's life forever.